Hello, kind people of the internet. Today I want to talk about the best book about game development that I have ever read in my whole entire life, and it is called Production Point. It's by a guy named Benjamin Keane Anderson, and he gifted me this copy because I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I want to read your book, but it's like $40 for the hard copy. So I was like, can I just have it? And he's like, yeah, sure. I shouldn't include that in the video because then people are going to ask him. Don't ask him for a free copy. Go buy it and support him, even though I didn't. This video's starting so bad. This is exactly the book that I wish I could have read like 5 or 6 years ago, but I'm really glad that I read it now. And I want to talk to you about some of the best parts about the book because I think that it'll help out a lot of people. This is not a paid sponsorship. He did send me this book for free, but I asked him to because I knew it was a good book and I wanted to read it. And he even signed it for me. But you know what they say, don't charge a book by its cover. That's not how it goes. Don't judge. That's right. Don't judge lest you be judged. You know what they say? Don't judge a book. I literally want to say charge every time. Why would you charge a book? All right, let's put this sleeve back on. You know what they say? Don't judge a book by its cover. But it's a pretty good cover. But I want to talk about what's on the inside because that's what really matters. And I underlined a lot of stuff. Like on every page, I was underlining something. I don't know exactly the kind of people that watch these videos, but what I imagine is like me from like a year or two ago. That's kind of my demographic of people that I imagine are reading this stuff, and this is what I wanted to read. Young Thomas would have loved to read this. So let's jump into the stuff that is worthwhile. How long of an intro can I give before I actually start talking about what's in the book? Let's look at the back. Planning and finishing your game hinges on a single point, the production point. Okay, I'm actually glad I did that because that summarizes exactly what this book is about. Everything about this book hinges on the title, the production point. Have you heard of this term before? Probably not, unless you watch my podcast, then I've probably talked about it in like 4 or 5 different conversations. But the whole premise of this book is about how a solo game developer can release a game. But it's called production point because in his findings of developing, prototyping, releasing commercial games, Ben Anderson came upon this idea that is probably not new to some people, but it was new to me. And the idea is this: when you start making a game, you are prototyping it. And then once you have all of the features implemented, you start adding content. What is a production point, you might ask? The production point is when you switch from prototyping to production. And those are kind of the 2 phases that he breaks down in this book. And I think it's a really helpful paradigm to think through because when you first start a project, you are prototyping. And in Ben Anderson's estimation, that should be fun. So what he says is you are trying to find the fun. You are actually, I wrote down some of his quotes. Let me find it. He said, I made the shift too early, committing at this potential point, and I started to suffer the side effects. My efforts were wasted and progress came to a sudden halt. I floundered even as I worked harder and harder. Months turned into years and I still wasn't any closer to finishing than when I'd started. I got discouraged, burnt out, and lost all motivation. I didn't understand what had gone wrong. I think this is relatable to a lot of people. I felt like this, and I didn't know why. You get really excited about game development, you jump in, you're making really good progress, and then you hit this wall. And I think it's because people start going into production at this potential point. Now let me explain more. Some more stuff from Ben. He says, I wasn't anywhere near creating the thing that I wanted to make. And then he gets to the key. I rushed the prototyping step. So what is a production point? Well, I'm glad you asked, but before we can get to that, we need to talk about the problem. Now, the problem is committing to the game design too soon, and this is what so many game developers do. I do it, I still do it, and that's why this book was really good for me. So he says the problem is rushing the prototyping step. So I think it's really helpful to think about the paradigm of game development as what he lays out in this book, which is the prototyping step and the production step. Those are 2 seasons of the game's life cycle. You start prototyping and then you start production. What does that actually mean? It's a shift from mechanics into content, from playfulness to industriousness, exploration to exploitation. I think that's actually probably the best way to think about it, because if you think about prototyping as exploration, you get the vibe that he's going for in this book, which is that the core game design needs to revolve around a fun mechanic. And prototyping should be fun. You're exploring. You're not tied down to anything. It's throwaway code. It's temporary assets. You're trying to figure out what is fun and what actually has legs that you can move forward with. Now, I struggle in this area because I don't like throwing away code. I don't like being unproductive. I hate throwing away work. I want to be efficient. But that's not how good games are made. But then once you have something fun, At its core, then you shift to the exploitation or the production phase. And that's when you're adding content, enemy types, more levels, more story, all of the stuff that fleshes out the game as a polished piece of content. Let me read the back of the book to you. It says, making games is hard, especially as a solo developer or a small team. There is a key mistake that many developers make that makes it even harder. This mistake is committing to a project too soon. This book will teach you to avoid committing too early and instead help you to commit only when that project is ready, at the production point. One of the things that I love about this book is how much he quotes other developers. I actually made a list on here. Tom Francis, who is like my hero of game development. He quotes James Clear from Atomic Habits. He goes into the design philosophy of people like the Sock Pop Collective, Bennett Foddy, Rami Ismail, the developers of Hollow Knight and Splatoon. He gets philosophical and quotes Nietzsche. He quotes the developers of Slay the Spire. There is a lot of good wisdom from a wealth of developers in this book, and I feel like he's taken a lot of the stuff that I've learned independently and put it in here along with a lot of stuff that I didn't know. So guys, I'm not getting paid for this. I'm just saying good things because I really like this book. And one of the things that I felt really called out by in this book is Ben Anderson makes the observation that effort does not equal progress. And that one stung because I am a self-proclaimed tryhard. And I figured, hey, if I just keep trying hard, then I will make progress. And his thing is like, nah, you got to work smarter, not harder. And I think that's really wise advice, especially after my conversations with, I just interviewed both the developers of a game about feeding a black hole, Corey and Andy. In the first month, they grossed $500,000 in game sales from that game, and they spent like 6 months developing it. So that is working smart, not necessarily, they worked hard. You know what I mean. Let's talk about the structure of the book. So he starts by talking about the two phases that I've already talked about, the prototyping stage and the production stage. And then he goes into specifics. So for production, he talks about tips for rapid prototyping, talking about like quantity versus quality. You know, he talks about the class that had to make all of the clay jars. One group was graded on quantity, how many they could make, and one was graded on quality by just making one. And the quantity group made better quality as well. So that whole thing, how to follow the fun. Playtesting was really interesting. He has some really good insights on how to watch playtesters and how to get information from playtesters that's useful for you as a developer. Making a vertical slice, and then obviously the production point, the danger of potential that you could see there. See, this is what happened with my previous game. This is a game that I called Bridges and Docks that you familiar with, and this is a game where I shipped it at the production point. This is a mistake that I made because I made a really good prototype and I didn't add any content really to it. There's no gamification. There's like a tutorial. This could have been gamified in a great way, but instead I just had the core of it and I prototyped it and I treated it as a finished product when it still needed more work to be done. While he's talking about paper prototyping, something that really stuck out to me when I was reading this, and I underlined it here, is that as he was writing this book, he says, I have 4 young kids. My oldest child recently turned 8, and my youngest is a few months over a year. That's insane. I have 1 kid, and I can tell you that makes working and developing games a whole heck of a lot more difficult. It changes the setup of my work schedule, my evenings, and my weekends, and all of it. There is so much dedication that goes into raising kids, and so the fact that he's a father of 4, you know that he's got his stuff together. So for those of you that can relate to that, let me jump in here real fast and read you one of my favorite quotes from the book. On page 103, the author talks about how they were looking forward to doing this game a week challenge, where every week the author comes up with a new game. And this is what he says, I quote, I've been anticipating this for months, and yet I still find myself avoiding game dev. It baffles me that my brain will work so hard to avoid doing something I so desperately want to do. And I thought that was really relatable because I've also been in the position where I have wanted to do something, I've been excited about it, but there's been a mental barrier there. And sometimes we can just get in our own way. I've been to therapy a few times in my life, specifically to address acute issues that I was dealing with at the time and season of life, and it was pretty helpful for me. And so that's why I wanted to partner with today's sponsor, BetterHelp. You just sign up, fill out a questionnaire, and they will match you with a therapist that can jive with your vibe. Is that how the kids say it these days? But basically, you just fill out a questionnaire. You can say everything that you like and dislike about current or past therapy. And you can say, like, I want somebody who's more direct, or I want somebody who asks a lot of questions, or I want somebody who comes from this faith background, or I want somebody that specializes in stress and anxiety, or addiction, or self-image, or whatever. So I filled out the form and got matched with a licensed therapist that fit my criteria pretty well. And I was able to go in and talk about some of the things that are going on in my life. If you haven't noticed, I took a bit of a hiatus from YouTube at the end of last year because I was going through some personal family stuff. And so I'm grateful that I had the opportunity to talk with some people about the things that were on my mind. Being vulnerable about my problems is not something that comes natural to me, especially on camera. All that to say, I'm really grateful that I have some people to talk to about some of the things that have been on the top of my mind. And I'm grateful that I was able to use BetterHelp as an excuse to prioritize my mental health. And the great thing about the platform is that if you don't like the person that you get paired up with, you can switch to another therapist at any time for no additional cost. And something I didn't know until recently is that they don't just have one-on-one therapy. You can do that, or you can do group sessions, or you can take classes and stuff. They have a bunch of options. So if you want to try it out and get 10% off your first month of therapy, you can go to the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/Thomas Stewart. Okay, back to the book review. Did we cut it? Oh yeah, when he talks about rapid prototyping and especially participating in game jams, he gives really good tips on stuff like time boxing and going on walks and maintaining a healthy diet, not overworking yourself, and fostering a playful mentality. Now that's one of the key takeaways that I took from this book, is that during the prototyping stage, fostering a playful mentality is crucial to finding the fun. And that's kind of where I have let the stress of being financially viable as a self-employed game developer inhibit the design of the games that I'm making. I think I do not try to play with game design, and I've been trying to do better at it. I've been working on some more prototypes. I've been trying to pivot away from prototypes that aren't fun or radically change them. And that has cost me time, but I think it's actually saved me more time, because if I would have just invested in a game, then I don't think it would have worked out well for me. However, the tension is that you can just live in prototyping land. I think most developers struggle with staying in prototype land. It's fun. You don't have to polish anything. You get a lot of return on investment. Things are developing quickly. You get to make a fun little thing, and then they switch to something else, and then they start the process over again. I knew that was a danger when I started making games full time, so I tried to go very far in the opposite direction. And I said, I'm gonna prove to myself that I can finish projects. And so that's why I released 2 games within like 8 months of each other, because I wanted to prove to myself that I have the stick-to-itiveness, stick it outness, the stickiness, the ability to not give up on a project. Now that I've proven that to myself, I realize I need to come back over here and be more playful with my game designs, because I already know that I can finish projects now. Now, a lot of people can't do that and they need to go over here. But for me, I need to go back over here because now I can get too industrious with my game dev, care too much about deadlines and productivity and making sure that I'm efficient with my time. And that is not a good place to land in if you want to make a fun game, because there has to be margin built in to where you can pivot, where you can follow the fun and enjoy the process. So that was a good word for me. So something that I really liked about this book is that at the end of each chapter, you can see maybe that there is a conclusion, which is typical, but then there's a chapter summary, and this is where it redefines all of the main points of the chapter, which is so easy. So after I read this book, I just could go back, read the chapter summaries, and basically be reminded of all the good stuff that's in the book. So I'll end this video by quoting the book, who is quoting Tom Francis, who is one of the best game developers of our time, in my opinion. This is from Tom Francis's GDC talk, titled Dealing with Scope Change in Heat Signature and Gunpoint. So as his scope was changing, Tom Francis asks this question: how much do I have to make before I know if this works? So That's the question that I'm dwelling on right now. How much do I have to make before I know if this feature or design works or not? Be well, my friends. Make games, have fun, be wary of the production point. If you want to check out this book, I'll leave a link for it in the description. I don't make any money off of this. I am sharing the good word because it is... Stop being... Don't make it sound like a cult. I don't make money whether you buy this book or not. If you buy the Kindle version or the online version, it's a lot cheaper. I was talking to Ben about maybe getting a discount for you guys, so check the description if there might be a discount in there. If I'm saying this and left it in the video, then there probably is a discount down in there, so there you go. Check it out. It's a good one for the bookshelf. There's a lot of good game dev books. I want to do more book reviews. This was kind of scattered. I didn't really have a good format for what I wanted to talk about this book, but that is also how you get my authentic thoughts. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and read. 2 things in life are sure: death and taxes. And now I'm gonna go pay my taxes. That's such a dumb ending. Okay, bye.